Hey guys, welcome back to the AJ Analysis channel where we are back lagging already, but we are back with another live stream. How are we doing? Today we are previewing this weekend's game against Coventry in the FA Cup semi-final. Before that though, get in the chat guys and let me know how you are doing. Nev, good to see you my friend. I hope you're well. Hope you're having a good week. Mark, I actually caught a stream live. Good to have you here my friend. I hope you are well. A little while since you've been in one of these properly. So I hope you're good my friend. Corey, good to see you. And also Josh as well. How are we feeling, guys? How are we feeling about the football club in general for now? We'll eventually, of course, get over to the tactical side of the game. But for now, how's life? How are you doing, basically? Let's have a little catch-up. And then eventually we will get into talking about Manchester United versus Coventry. We've also got some Erik ten Hag quotes to go through in relation to this game, but also some other matters off the pitch. And we've also got some stuff to look at with regards to Coventry. But yeah. Before we do any of that, before we get into the football, how's life? How are we doing? Answer that question in the chat while I quickly have a drink, and then we'll get into things. Anyone just joined, and thank you very much. I hope you guys are well. Good to have you in the chat. Hope you're having a good day, having a good week, ready for the weekend. Hopefully a weekend which involves a Manchester United win. Sound woke up about an hour ago. How are you? Honestly, not bad at all. Thank you very much. Good to hear you are well. Also, should we get into the football? Manchester United against Coventry. Is it pretty much the only game left this season which really matters? Only game left of the season which matters unless we get to an FA Cup final as well. I think the league looks ropey. It's pretty much done. FA Cup semi-final time. We've got to win. There is no excuse. We can talk about Ten Hag not having his players or whatever. We're facing lower league opposition here in an FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. There is no excuse. United have to go win this game. And in my opinion, I think we have to go perform. This can't be a 1-0 scrapey 90th minute. I know in the Cup normally we would say performance isn't so important. But in the context of United where we are at the moment, you've got to go and produce right now. You've got to go and produce. Edwick, good to see you, my friend. How is life? All good last day of my holiday, though. Hope you had a good week, my friend. Hope you've had a good week. Returning for the Pro Clubs team at the weekend, maybe? Question mark. Hope you're good, mate. Life's good, AJ. How are you? Not bad. Thank you, Corey. Glad to hear you are well. Premier League season looks over, especially with no 5th place Champions League spot. Yeah, that all looks done. I mean, a week ago I still had a bit of hope. Fast forward, though, and obviously the games we have dropped points in, losing to Bournemouth last week, but also the fact that English teams did not perform in Europe this week. Aston Villa, the only ones going through. West Ham went out. Liverpool went out. Manchester City went out. Arsenal went out. 5th place will not get a Champions League spot for next season. So it's down to 4. Makes it a little bit spicy for the likes of Villa and Spurs. But realistically, for us, it doesn't do much. It just puts us out of it. So it is over to the FA Cup. And like Corey said there, facts. I don't want to hear any excuses. It's time. We drew with Bournemouth. Yeah, you're right. It felt like a loss. Yeah, you're right. We did draw. Matt, good to see you, my friend. Hope you're well. How's life? How are you feeling coming into this game? And the big question, I guess, guys. This is the starting 11 from last week, I believe, unless I have made a mistake somewhere. Who are you bringing in? Who are you bringing in? Are you making any changes? I mean, the performance last week was pretty dire, right? It was not great. It was really not very good. We were lucky to get the draw. Yeah. We were lucky to get the draw. We can't have that sort of performance again against Coventry. Something's got to change. Does that start in the starting 11? Let me know what you think. Obviously, we're not exactly blessed with options, although as we go through the Ten Hag quotes, we will see a slightly different squad this week, I think. I think we have some different options. Just got my mouse stuck. Callum, good to have you in the chat. Feeling high on Pro Clubs vibes. Absolutely, aren't we all? That's all you need to get through life. Anyway, some Ten Hag stuff kind of from this afternoon heading towards the game. Obviously, we had this Garnacho situation last week. We haven't really spoke about it. Ten Hag on Alejandro Garnacho's liked tweets. Alejandro is a young player and has a lot to learn. He apologised for it, and after that, we move on. Realistically, I don't think much has happened there. I think he'll be available for selection this weekend, so we do need to consider that. In terms of other quotes, this affects team selection a little bit more. Anthony, Harry Maguire, and Scott McTominay are expected to return for the game against Coventry. Little Sancho comment, but we'll come back to that afterwards. But yeah, Anthony and Scott McTominay, I expect them to be back. We have some problems. Maguire struggled with a small injury against Bournemouth. He didn't train this week so far, but he's now back on the pitch, and I think he'll be available for Sunday, which is pretty useful because do we have anyone else? Not sure. Are the likes of Evans and that back yet? I'm not too sure at the moment. Apart from this, talking about replays, interesting comment here. We are frustrated, but we also know we can beat the best teams. We drew twice against Liverpool. We beat them in the FA Cup. We played very good against Chelsea. When we play to our levels, we can achieve really high highs, which I don't think he's entirely wrong with, to be fair. We can achieve high highs. We need one this weekend, we do. Other quotes, last season was last season. He's not wrong. We want to achieve every season. We want to win trophies. We have a big opportunity. We are in a semi-final, but it's a huge challenge. I agree. And then we've also got this Casemiro comment as well. This season, he struggled with a bad injury he never had in his career, but he always wins in his career. Everywhere he was, there will be success. I trust he will give his success, and I know he will need games. He will be better, and I'm very confident about him. He's a fighter, and it's why he also won big trophies, and he's a very important player. Does that point to Casemiro possibly starting, or is that just he's been asked what are your thoughts on Casemiro, and that's how he has replied? Also, Kobbie Mainoo's birthday. What a legend. Happy birthday to Kobbie Mainoo, our saviour this season. Based on that, though, based on some of the team news there, the fact that, for example, we have Scott McTominay back, we have Anthony back, we have Harry Maguire available, what sort of changes would you be looking at? Because I think most people would agree we can't go for the same team again. Because the last two performances, it's been nice to see the same 11 twice, simply for the case of team cohesion and things like that. Ten Hag does have the potential to do it for a third game in a row, and I would assume that it would be the first time that's happened this season, so he could do that. But it hasn't really been good enough, and I would be tempted to change. So I'm interested to hear what changes you guys would make. Anthony played well, start him. I think there's definitely a consideration, a conversation to be had there. Hi AJ from Iran, hope you're doing well, bro. Thank you very much, Sport Gang. I am good. I hope you are good as well, my friend, and having a good day. Rashford for Anthony for me. Okay, on Garnacho quickly. We saw the quote there from Ten Hag saying all is forgiven, basically. And, you know, he'll learn his lessons and stuff like that. Would you guys drop Garnacho, not for performance reasons, although maybe you would, but more for that off-the-pitch stuff last weekend, or would you keep him in? Casemiro shouldn't start. Also, Ahmad would deserve a start in the FA Cup after the Liverpool game. I would really be tempted by Ahmad. I think we've said that a few times in recent weeks, that Ahmad could come into the side. This is the game for me where really I would, you know, I'm leaning towards starting him. I'd love to see Ahmad, Højlund and Anthony. So that's a couple of people who've said Anthony and Ahmad. Would you go Ahmad left wing in that instance? I'd drop Garnacho just because he's played too many games recently. Yeah. I'd drop him because he was poor against Bournemouth. I think that's fair as well. I think if we can't do a proper job in negative transitions and rest defence, the best thing is to play Kobbie as a 6 and mount Bruno in the 8. If we can kill games with goals in the first 30 minutes, then look for mid-block. I like it. I do like the approach, and that is something we are going to discuss today. Kobbie Mainoo in the 6. Those other two ahead of him. Could it work? I think it can. He has been our star. I don't think there is that serious a beef between them. Fair, but I also think at the same time you do have to kind of uphold standards as well and set a standard. I'm not sure. Crazy the contrast in treatment between Garnacho and Sancho. I personally don't think an apology after the fact holds that much weight to justify it. True. The reaction is very, very different. You want Mount too? I think he deserves a start. I really want to see Mason Mount. Try Amrabat at fullback or at right back. You've specified Dalot in midfield, or hang on, I'll get to that in a second. Or Dalot at right back and Mount in midfield. Anthony and Ahmad should get a chance over Rashford. I like it. I like it. Before we continue reading those comments, though, we have a gifted membership. Not just one, not just two, not just 3, 4, 5, 20 gifted memberships from, guess who? I'll give you one guess. If you haven't read the chat, I'll give you one guess at who's gifted those memberships. It's Nuruddin. One absolute legend. Thank you very much, my friend. Good to chat to you a couple times in the last week or so on Pro Clubs. I hope you are well, hope you're good. Thank you very much for the gifted memberships. And guys, make sure, as some of you have already, to spam some love hearts in the chat. Also some W's, maybe some Kobbie Mainoo's in the chat to say thank you to Nuruddin, because that is greatly appreciated. Really hoping to see Amas in this game. Could we? Could we do it? Possibly. Possibly. Would love to see Eric start Max with Cobby and Mount. Also, there's another comment I want to read as well. Where's it gone? Give Garnacho a rest. He needs it, and Anthony played solid recently, so play Anthony, and I wouldn't mind Ahmad coming in as well. So this is kind of my first instinct when I'm looking at this side. Goalkeeper, you could actually argue a goalkeeper change, by the way. Not because Onana's done anything wrong, but for the sake of Bayindir getting to play. You could actually argue that, but I don't think it will happen, because this is all we've got left to play for, so you go with your strongest, but maybe an interesting conversation. Centre-backs, I don't believe we have an option unless I'm missing someone. As far as I am aware, Maguire is available. Kambwala is available. Do we know about anyone else? Personally, I don't. Is Kobe Manu and Mount at the double pivot defensively sound? I wouldn't use the term defensively sound to describe it, no. I think you are going for more of an attacking approach in that way, but it might work in a game like this. Bayindir has not been given a fair chance. Anyone disagree? I think everyone will agree. It would have been nice to see him in the cup, giving him a cup run like most teams do with their second keeper. Not too sure why we haven't. I do feel that is the approach of Ten Hag, kind of, recognising that this is one of his best opportunities to do something positive this season. So therefore he's gone for the stronger keeper, which is Onana. So I would assume that is the reasoning behind it. Oi, oi, lads. Good to see you, mate. Hope you're well. Evans may be fit. Yeah, do we know that? Have we seen anything on Johnny Evans yet? I personally haven't, but I might be wrong. We'll just have a quick look. Ten Hag in or Ten Hag out? We done a poll on the stream the other day, and the conclusion was about 70 to 80%. I can't remember exactly. We're saying Ten Hag in. And my opinion on the matter was there was no on the fence option. It was either in or out. And because I probably am more of a fence hitter, I went in because I would only sack him if we are 100% sure, which I'm not at this moment in time. So that's why I was Ten Hag in for that. Not sure why, but YouTube doesn't send me your videos anymore. Is that just videos or streams as well? But thank you very much. I'll look into that. Thank you. I'll have a look. I'm not sure. We need to try out some players that might be around next season and do away with players that don't have an impact. That's what I was talking about on a video the other day. I think I uploaded it. How Ten Hag should set up for the rest of the season. And I was talking about, giving the likes of Kambwala time. I think he'll get it anyway because of injuries. But Mason Mount in midfield. Stuff like that. So I saw yesterday that Ten Hag is likely to take a risk tomorrow. Yeah, someone put it on Discord, right? I think. It might have even been you. I can't remember. Someone did. And didn't someone read the article, though, and it turns out, it's Casemiro might be rested or something like that. Which wouldn't be a bad thing at all. I'm okay with that. It was you? Yeah, thought so. Why doesn't Eric play two fullbacks as inverted fullbacks like Postecoglou does with Spurs? Make more protection for the number 6. We had a couple of games where we done it. I can't think who it was against now. Was it Chelsea? We used 2 of them, more inverted. So he has experimented with it at times, and he experimented with it quite a lot last season as well. Mount likely in was said in the article. Yeah, I find that weird though, by the way. The fact that the article was kind of packaged as Ten Hag might take a risk, and the risk was bringing Mason Mount in. Is that a risk? Or is that just not what we should be doing? Yeah, I think it was Brentford, Mark. I think you're right. Thoughts on Mason Mount? Would you guys be bringing him in? Matt is spot on, by the way, guys. If you are having an issue with not getting videos, hit the bell. You'll get a notification every time I upload, every time I go live. Hopefully that will help fix the issue. But yeah, I will look into it. Thank you, Matt. The risk was Manu at 6. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of using a solo pivot at the moment. I'm not a massive fan of the idea. Maybe for certain games. We also need to try something different because we have been doing the same exact setup all season long. My approach is we've got to go for it. Should we have a quick look at Coventry before we get into the rest of the United team? Coventry. On screen here, they're likely starting 11. They started the season in more of a back 3 or a back 5, but were leaking goals and truthfully playing absolutely terribly. And then they moved to more of a back 4 shape. a bit more compact. The fullbacks were more focused on, or now are more focused on doing their defensive work rather than being like wing backs, getting forward a lot. So they are doing better defensive work now. Double pivot in midfield, very decent. O'Hare, one of the main men in the 10 role. He's the one who will be looking to bring creativity to the side. And then you've got these two big guys leading the attack up front and from the left-hand side as well. And I say big guys. The team in general, if it's this starting 11, is sizable. You know, it's a pretty big team. It's a pretty big team. I don't know exactly what that is in feet, but most of them are looking at 6 foot, just over 6 foot. Some of them considerably over 6 foot, a couple a little bit smaller. But in general, it's a pretty big side, which is something we will need to look out for. And considering they had such a slow start to the season, they have been improving as the year has gone on. Granted, the recent form, not great, 2 losses, but they are climbing up the table. They are getting themselves just about in contention for the playoffs, although I don't think they will quite make it. So that had the smallest player at 5'8", the tallest at 6'4". Yeah, overall they're a fairly big side. They're alright at set pieces from what I've seen in their FA Cup run especially. But yeah, Coventry have improved as the season's gone on in terms of what they're going to look to do from a tactical point of view. Like I said, it will be a 4-2-3-1, and they're actually a side which at times are quite aggressive in their press. Sometimes they're a bit more passive, but they almost have 2 different pressing structures which they can use. One will be a sort of 4-1-4-1, which is closer to being man-to-man, because obviously they can match up a double pivot like this, and they can be quite aggressive in their approach, out of possession, pressing nice and high. At times, though, they will shift to more of a 4-2-3-1, and I would say this out of possession structure is a bit more passive. You can see them getting played with a little bit. You know, teams play around them a bit more comfortably, a bit more easily like this, simply because of the lack of numbers in forward areas. In terms of what their pressing approach will be, normally the striker, I'm assuming it'll be Sims this weekend, will try and split the centre-backs. He'll curve his run as the ball goes one way, and essentially they're going to try and force us to play over to one side of the pitch. That might be the left, that might be the right. I'm not too sure what they will target, but I would imagine they try and force us one way, because a lot of Coventry's approach is about using the sideline as a defender, which I'm a fan of. I often label the sideline as the best defender in the game. You physically can't beat it, and it takes up a 180-degree angle. So I think they will try and force us one way, and from there, they're going to make it into a mini game on whatever side of the pitch it is. They're going to be quite intense, trying to get in our faces, trying to overturn possession. So that'll be a challenge for United, particularly should Wan-Bissaka play at left back, because we've seen enough times throughout his career, but particularly in recent weeks playing at left back, that when he's in this area, he just can't really adjust himself. He's not comfortable using his left foot. He's not exactly press resistant. Occasionally he carries well past opponents, but in general, a little bit of concern. I think down the other side of the pitch I would be a bit more confident, depending on who plays right wing. But on the other side of the pitch I would be a bit more confident with our ability, just because I think our more technical players are over there. But yeah, those are some of the things to consider with Coventry. In terms of when they do win the ball back, if they do win it in this high press, they're quick. They are, I'm going to say quick, not blessed with absolutely rapid footballers, but they get the ball moving quickly. They will quickly get the ball forward. They're not going to pass around the back for the sake of it. Of course, they'll have spells where they do, but in general, their attacking approach will be quite quick, move the ball forward at speed, look to hurt us and look to take advantage of that, which we might struggle with, as we've seen all season long. But that's roughly how I think Coventry will come into this game. So what do I think United need to combat that? To be honest, technical players out wide, and then the usual better quality in midfield. Those are the 2 things that I would be looking for. Also, again, I'm repeating myself, the back line being squeezed up a few yards would be helpful. It really would, because again, when they sit too deep, we leave acres of space in midfield. It's a bit repetitive. I'm bored of it. Squeeze the back line up, in my opinion. With that knowledge, what are you guys going for in terms of the starting 11? I like the idea of someone like Ahmad or Anthony coming onto the right wing. I like the idea of that. Personally, I would be looking at Mason Mount into the side. Is this the 3rd game week in a row now I've said that? Maybe the 4th, but I think Mason Mount has got a shot. And maybe it's Amas time. Because Wan-Bissaka left back just is not working. And I don't know that there's another option. People will say Dalot to left back, Wan-Bissaka at right back. I guess we can discuss that as well. I'm not a massive fan of moving Dallo just because I think he's so much better on the right-hand side than what he is the left. But there is a conversation there, and I would be tempted by Amas. I would also be tempted by Amrabat as well. The reason I'd be tempted is because I believe this guy here, I don't know how to pronounce his name, I will be honest with you. I think he's more naturally a bit more defensive. He was used as a wing-back at the start of the season and a full-back at one point as well. Recently pushed higher into sort of a wing spot. But he's happy doing the defensive work. I don't actually know that going forward he's that great. So maybe we could get away with a different left-back. Amas, probably a little bit too early. Yeah, he is a full-back. He plays the Frimpong role. Yeah, so maybe we can almost take advantage of that and adjust our 11 accordingly. I don't know. What would you guys be doing at left-back? I don't think Amas would start in such an important game. Fair point. But he has a chance from the bench. I would like to think so. I would like to think he's got an opportunity to come in at some point in the game. Like you said, starting 11, it's probably a little bit too early. Just a little bit too early. But I'd like to see him given minutes. I would like to see him get a chance. I'm not sure if he will or not, but it would be quite nice to see. Apart from that, do we really have any other options? Wan-Bissaka, Amrabat. Thoughts on Dallo to left back? I don't think it worked the other week. Again, I can't recall which game it was, but I'm not a massive fan. When Dallo moves to the left-hand side, I think we lose quite a lot. Is there any other option, really? Amrabat as left back. Anthony or Ahmad right wing? I'm kind of leaning towards Ahmad at the moment. I'll come on to it in a sec. Can Mount get some minutes on Sunday? I hope so. If I'm Mason Mount and I don't get minutes in this game, I'm knocking on the manager's door and headbutting him. Mason Mount needs minutes. He should start, in my opinion. Because we've seen enough times. We can talk about Casemiro, right? He's got good experience. He's pretty good in both boxes. He attacks the box well and he tends to defend the box well. Anything in between the two boxes, he can't do. He's like the opposite of a box-to-box midfielder. I don't know what that is. He's just the opposite. He can't do much in between the two boxes. I feel sorry for him. He has declined. You can see he's almost struggling to accept that at times, it feels. But he's not good enough. We don't need to be shown that anymore. All right, Eric, we know Casemiro's not good enough. Let's stop shoving it in our faces that he's not good enough. Just drop the guy. Just drop him. It's not ideal to have Kobe Mainoo in the 6, but I would probably do it for now. FP, good to see you, my friend. How you doing? Box in box? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I like it. But Kobe Mainoo is the 6. Again, whilst it's not my preferred role for him in the long term, this is a chance at winning a trophy, get our best 11 on the pitch, and I think that involves Kobe Mainoo, and I also think it involves Mason Mount. Amas is ready for a loan to a championship team, so he ought to be ready to start against one. Ooh, interesting point. Is he ready for a championship loan? He's very, very young still. Wembley again, looking forward to the game. I'm looking forward to it. There's something about a game at Wembley, particularly if the weather's half decent, and a bit of sun. Lovely. Now, I'm not having a Casemiro slander. Fair enough. You're entitled to that. Join the club's team. I just don't think Casemiro's done good enough. I don't think it's all Casemiro's fault, by the way. Let me make that crystal clear. I think the system hurts him. Screws him over, let's be honest. So, it's not entirely Casemiro's fault. He has declined, obviously. But the system has also let him down. But I just don't think it works. I don't think it works. Mainoo should be an 8 in the future. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Has anyone got any different left-back solutions? I've been saying we should keep Mainoo as a 6 this season since like January. Yeah, I do remember that. This team is better with him there. Yeah, again, in the long term, I think he's so much better as an 8. But for now, get him as the 6. Let's come on to the conversation then. Kobe Mainoo, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Mount. Does it work? If it does work, is it a 4-2-3-1? Like that? Is it a 4-3-3? If it's to be a 4-3-3, what way round do Bruno and Mount play? What do we reckon? Now, the first thing I will say is if we are to play Kobe Mainoo as a 6, I don't think he can play there alone. He can start alone in a pivot, have two midfielders ahead of him, but someone has to get in close to him. Ideally, Diogo Dalot, in my opinion, and we shift to a back three in possession like this. It keeps Harry Maguire in the middle, protects him from doing wide defence, allows him to kind of go up against Sims, show the physical side of his game. I like it. Kambuala, hopefully looking to bounce back from last weekend where just struggled a little bit. He had some troubles last weekend. He got a little bit unfortunate with a couple of things. Other things, I don't think he judged it too well. His attitude, though, I thought was good throughout. So, yeah. I would go Kambuala again in this game. I don't think we have options. Play him there. And then Wan-Bissaka on the left. Again, I don't know that we have too many other options. So we kind of just stick him there. At least playing on the outside of a back three, though. He can do some wide defence. He does have the chance on occasion to carry the ball forward. And again, he's kind of there to protect and shield Maguire a little bit in the middle. I think it worked. Casemiro is not finished. He is just a little wary. After some careful preparation, he will be back. Possibly. Not in this system. That might be Ten Hag's fault. Not necessarily Casemiro's, but in this system, he won't be back. Not in my opinion. Again, get him in a different system, maybe. AJ, do you still think Arsenal pre-season... Oh, I've lost it in the chat. Where's it gone? Was our best game this season? If so, don't we know this is our best midfield? What is our best performance this season? There's not too many competitors, is there? There's not a ton of competitors. I think the question mark over this midfield... Wolves away first half. Yeah, that's a good shout. The question over this midfield is the defensive side of the game. Palace in the Cup, that's another good shout. Yeah, Palace in the Cup would be right up there, actually. I think the midfield can work, particularly against, quote, lower opposition. I think it can work. We do have McTominay. Yep, he is back in the conversation, so he could come into this team. Maybe in for Mason Mount, someone like that. Mainu was definitely an 8, but strikes the ball like a season 10. Yep. Why have you just said Scooby-Doo? I missed something there. Kambuala didn't have a terrible game in my opinion. He got beaten by Solanke a few times, but he also beat Solanke other times. Yeah, I don't think he had a terrible game. I just think he just struggled, is how I would describe it. That's not a criticism, because Solanke is one of the best strikers in the league, and certainly has been this season. I think he's a great player. Again, I said it last week, I think he's one of the best outlets in the Premier League, Solanke. So Kambuala was always going to struggle against him. And like you said, there were certain battles where he came out on top. It led to one of the goals. And then there were other battles where he struggled a little bit. More than anything for Kambuala, I think it was adjusting his feet he struggled with. Particularly when he's like kind of close defending, but also at times clearing the ball. It's just quickly rearranging your feet to get yourself set in the best position before playing. I felt that was what he struggled with probably the most. But yeah, I'm not going to sit here and slam him. Oh, Scooby-Doo McTominay. Got you. My bad. My bad. Something that concerns me about Ten Hag is even Ajax fans were always disappointed by how little he rotates the 11. Yeah, and again, he's not going to rotate here. He might make changes, but I don't think he'll rotate to protect anyone. Like, I've said a few times recently, can we protect Kobbie Mainoo? Can we protect Garnacho? Because they're young players, physically developing. We need to protect them for the long term. That will not happen in this game. There is no chance on earth Kobbie Mainoo doesn't start. If he's fit, he'll play. Garnacho, I'm not so sure. For tactical reasons, we might change it. And also just because of the whole ordeal last weekend, not so sure. Did you guys notice the pitch was watered heavily? Yeah, it was. Particularly one side of the pitch. The ball just did not move last weekend against Bournemouth. Not sure what that's all about. Anthony is back in contention. Yeah, so the injury news is Maguire has not trained all week, but is back on grass today and is expected to be okay. So, I hope that's the case. Scott McTominay is back in contention. And so is Anthony. I believe that's the news we've got. The fact that pre-season is one of our best performances this season is just embarrassing. Yeah. Apologies if you can hear doggos. Apologies for that. I believe there's a delivery. Have a hunch Casemiro could drop into centre-back in place of Kambuala, or if Maguire's not fit. Find more managers these days are more stubborn about changing 11 or in-game tactics. Arteta's another one who's been quite bad for changing 11 this season. David's in the chat, and of course, as he always does when he first joins the stream, he has gifted a membership. Thank you very much, my friend. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Sorry, I thought I just misread something in the chat. David, thank you very much. Guys, make sure to spam some love hearts in the chat. I can't see who it was gifted to at the moment, but because of David's generosity, you are now a member. So guys, make sure to say thank you for the support. Hey, Doggo, I'll pass the message on. AJ, your Dewsbury Hall video was really good. Thank you very much. Not sure if we should go for him or not. Might be a good squad player. I see him as potentially a really good squad player. It's just, is that what we need right now, or do we have other priorities? That's my issue with the signing. I actually don't mind him as a player, and I think he does deserve to play for a better team. No offence, Leicester. But is it right for us is what I'm not sure of. Bruno in the 10 is not working anymore. Surely we need someone that can compete with him. Yeah, is Mason Mount that? Or is Mason Mount supposed to be that? Or is Mason Mount seen as a deeper player? I don't know. I don't know what Ten Hag was cooking last summer. Because he's not been used in the way that I expected he would since returning from injury. I like Dewsbury Hall, but what's the actual point in getting him to play like 3 games a month? Yeah, I guess it's if you sell Scott McTominay, for example, and you get a decent bit of money for him, and you can bring Dewsbury Hall in for a little bit cheaper. He's a little bit younger. He offers a different dynamic, being left-footed. He does offer us something different, so maybe that's the logic, but I'm not sure. Bruno played such a complete game as 6, Mainu centre and Mount the 10. That is the solution, in my opinion. I understand the idea behind Bruno deeper. I think even his manager at Sporting said that you get more out of him when you play him deeper. But for me, Bruno is much better higher up the pitch. Just get him near the final third, get him near the box, get him near the striker. That's where I like to see him. Sorry, I gifted and then had to leave. Thank you very much for the gifted. I don't know if you saw me thanking you. Did I miss something? Nothing particularly interesting, to be honest. Isn't Dewsbury Hall too similar of a profile to Mount, who was on the bench? Again, the whole idea behind Dewsbury Hall, just to address it, is it depends what you want from other players. If Bruno is seen as a 10 and Mount is seen as a 10, there's no room for Dewsbury Hall. If Mount is seen as an 8, there's room for Dewsbury Hall as either a backup to Mount or a backup to Bruno. What's Cobby seen as? If Cobby is seen as an 8 and Mount is also seen as an 8, does Dewsbury Hall come in as a backup 10? If so, what's the point of McTominay? So I think actually whether or not we need Dewsbury Hall and he's the sort of player we want is almost fully dependent on what other players are going to do for us, because I'm not too sure at the moment. I'm not too sure. We just had a mental donation. We just had a mental donation. Is that the man Nuruddin? What's that in like a currency I can interpret? $34 donation from Nuruddin. What an absolute legend. Thank you very much, my friend. I don't know what to say. That might be the highest single donation ever on the channel. Maybe. I might be wrong with that. But thank you very, 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 very much, guys. If you can't spam love hearts in the chat for that, I don't know what you can. Nuruddin, that's incredible. Thank you so much. I don't know what to say. Again, I need to expand my vocabulary. That's what I need to do. I need new words for thank you, or just to branch into different languages. Thank you so much, mate. That is greatly appreciated. One day we shall link up at the heart of midfield, and it'll be beautiful. And we've also got FP celebrating 5 months as a member. Now he's saying, let's get to 6. Well, I believe you're about a month away from that, if I'm doing the maths right. Thank you very much, FP. Your support, as always, is greatly appreciated. Oh, I just moved something. What's that, about £27? That's incredible. I think that is the highest ever single donation. So, Nuruddin, thank you very much. Legend, legend, legend. Always distracts me when I get a gifted membership, or like a donation as well. It throws me off, because it catches me off guard. I'm not saying don't do it, guys. Keep it coming. What I could imagine, we'd have 3 players as an 8/a 10. Bruno, Mount, Dewsbury Hall, and 3 players as a 6/8. Cobby plus 2 other signings. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I like what you're cooking there. Dewsbury Hall is a midfielder with a good technical floor and versatile. Agreed. Big ups FP2. FP's a legend. Thank him by buying next gen. Whoa. Relax, mate. Can't attack me like this. Did Ten Hag really want to pay 60 million for Mount? If yes, then his judgment is compromised. Let's be honest. Ten Hag may have wanted the player. Ten Hag will not have decided the fee. That is what the club will have decided. Ten Hag doesn't go into the negotiation room and go, "Hello, mate. How are you? How much for him?" It doesn't work like that. So we don't really know how much Ten Hag wanted him, how desperate he was for him, how much we should have paid for him. Probably less than 60, considering he had 12 months on his contract. But I always think he was going to sign a contract eventually. And yeah, just managers shouldn't be in charge of recruitment. I think they should have some say. You know, maybe like final sign-off a little bit on players. But in general, I don't think managers should. I think they probably have at United, and that's some of the problem. I don't think managers should have too much say. But that's just my opinion. Yeah, by the way, guys, I need to talk about the Discord quickly. Because I believe we had people chatting in the Discord the other day after the Bournemouth game. Shout out you guys keeping it active. But also the Discord is unbelievably active at the moment. There's, to be honest, a ridiculous amount of messages in there every day. Might have to mute it at this point. But if you want to get involved, completely free to join. I'm sure someone's going to drop a link in the chat in a second. If not, there should be a link in the description already. Join it. Completely free to join. I think most of you are probably in there by now. But if you are new around here, check it out. There you go. FP has just dropped it in the chat. Go check it out. Thank you very much, FP. Let's pin that message like that. Bosch. 90% of messages are pro clubs. Whoa. Don't know what you're talking about, mate. We have serious football conversations. I think I'm the only person who's Ten Hag out, but thinks his signings were mostly fine. Yeah, again, the Mount one, I think the signing, I think it cost too much, but I've got no issue with signing Mount. Højlund, I think he's a good signing. Maybe he cost a little bit too much, but again, that's not on Ten Hag. I have no issue with the Højlund signing. Onana, I think, is a good signing. Some of the other ones from the season before, I'm a bit more dubious about. You know, Casemiro, the short-termism of it. Was that Ten Hag? Not sure. Eriksen, I guess it was a free, so it doesn't matter too much. It kind of worked at the time. Licher, I'm not entirely sure on Licher. It's quality. He is quality. But does he create a future issue? Chad, you're banned. I was going to make a comment, but you never know who's watching, so I'm not going to. Was there Bruno talk earlier, which I meant to go back to from Manuel? I saw it somewhere. Something about he plays there for the national team, but I can't find it. As in playing as an 8. I can't find it now, I'm afraid. Højlund is too much for a striker with little experience. Yeah, that's the thing with Højlund. It's an investment. It's not like a short term. We currently think, what was the fee for Højlund? I can't actually remember. But when you sign Højlund, it's not like, you know, we think he's worth this right now. It's a case of we think for the next 5 years he's going to be worth this. So I do understand it. I still think it's probably a little bit expensive, but who isn't these days, let's be honest. So again, I'm okay with it. I'm a big fan of Højlund. How are you lads doing in the pro clubs, by the way? We're kind of cooking. We've only played a few times. Wait, you had a comment from me? Yeah, I think you said something earlier, right? In the chat. You said something about Bruno plays deeper for Portugal, but I can't find it. And something else popped up, so I didn't see it. To be fair, the fact Højlund scored only that many goals was less about him than the team. Yeah, he'll get there. I think Højlund's actually done pretty well to be our top scorer, considering the absolute state he is, you know, the state of the team he's played in. I still believe in him. Tactics don't revolve around one player. What's this in link 2? Sorry. Haven't said it. I'm not sure. I'll come back to that. That's where he plays for Portugal. This is talking about Bruno Deeper, and he's our best player in rotation with Bernardo Silva at right wing. So, what, like, does he play more 8 for Portugal then, rather than like 6 or such? Like, high 8, right hand side? With that in mind, I think most people want this Mount Cobby, Bruno Fernandes trio. What way around do you go with them? Do you go 4-2-3-1 and put Mount deeper next to Cobby? Do you have Bruno left, Mount right? What would your kind of ideas be here? The Chad role? Only Chad can perform the Chad role. So he plays deeper and higher, depends on the space. Got you, got you. Would you like to see him try it at United? I wonder if I could do that, actually. Look at Bruno at Portugal, see what he does differently. Whether that could be transferred to United. That might be worth a look. Might be worth a look. So you're saying you would go for a 4-2-3-1 for this game? See, the idea that I have in my head is that if you invert Dalot from right back next to Cobby, keeping Mount on the right-hand side, I kind of like what that brings with the idea. I like the idea of Ahmad. Controversial take? I don't think so. Nah, it's not that controversial, right? I like the idea of Ahmad right wing for this game, and I think Mount could be the perfect midfielder to play near him because of Mount's energy levels, but also just his selfless running is constant. Also his ability to overlap. Ahmad is not blessed with pace. You know, when he gets the ball, he doesn't want to take a fullback on the outside every time and like get to the byline and then smash balls across the box. That's not really his game. He wants to come inside a little bit more. Again, I feel that Mount's selfless running, the ability to go around this side, could help him. Could help him more than what Bruno does. Obviously, there's also the argument for Mount on the other side as well. And I also think you get something similar from there. Rashford recently has had, or whoever's our left winger, has had nothing, to be honest, a lot of the time, anywhere near him. With Wan-Bissaka playing left back, he doesn't really offer much attack and support. So Rashford's been incredibly isolated. Mount playing left could also help him a lot. I'm a little bit stuck on what side to play him. With a squad quality differential like this, I think interplay with technical players can be massive. Yeah, I agree. Ahmad and Mount together have the potential to play them off the park. I do agree. I think that's the best way to play against these teams. It's not to go 1v1 dribblers everywhere. It's to get that quick linking, interchanging football, 1-2 touch. And like you said, Mount and Ahmad being close to each other could be perfect for that. Could be perfect for that. Trying to catch up in chat. I think because Bruno plays a more advanced role, it forces Rashford to play that link-up play style on the left, whereas it's far more effective when running onto balls from deeper. So would you go Mount left? Here you go, guys. Maybe a vote on this. A vote? What? A vote. Would you go Mason Mount left centre mid, or Bruno left centre mid? Let's make that easier. Mount left or right? Wan-Bissaka tucking into a 3 on the left gives me a headache. Oh, I hate it. It makes me feel sick. But I don't know that we've got any other option at the moment. AJ, do you see us getting Florian Wirtz? I believe Leverkusen have said it's really unlikely he leaves this summer. But does that almost actually line up for us next summer? Does Bruno get moved on eventually? Don't know. Hoyland is a disaster signing. Max value is £15 million. You should be a technical director somewhere. You should be a technical director. One thing I do like with the potential of this team, and whilst I don't think Cobby is a 6, it does bring us the benefit of 2 retention players. I was speaking about this during the week, and I think it's an important thing to consider. The balance this way. Again, I think too much is made of, is our midfield 3 balanced? Do our midfield 3 complement each other? I think it's also important to split the pitch like this and look at the 2 sides of it. By getting Mainu and Dalot either side of this line, if you like, left and right, you do have retention. Firstly, deep, which is important, but on both sides of the pitch, I really like it. AJ, do you need only 1 good channel defending centre-back, or do you need 2? Depends on the system. It depends on the system. I think if you play with, say, like a 2-3, for example, which obviously looks a bit more like this, then I think you need 2 which can do it. I think you need 2 really good channel defenders. If you play with more of a back 3, then one of them, like, say you start with a 4, but they move to a 3, one of them is, like, one side, the fullback's doing the channel defensive work. So then you probably only need 1 elite fullback. What? 1 elite centre-back when it comes to channel coverage. I feel like I explained that horribly. Let's try again. if you build possession with a back three where the fullback tucks in, the fullback does some of the channel defence, so then there's only one other channel to defend, so only one of your centre-back needs to do it. There we go. I think that was a bit clearer. Forget defensive balance, just go all out attack. I like it. There's some jobs about in managerial roles this summer, Chad, if you want one. Ten Hag must tell the midfielders and the wingers to set Rasmus up more often. Yeah, the difficult part is putting the patterns in place. You know, putting the tactics, the ideas in place to get to those positions on a more regular basis. So then the players can get the ball to Hoyland. And then, of course, in those situations, the players have to be a little more selfless. You know, looking for their striker in the box. I think that's something we have to do more moving forward. Absolutely. Just trying to see what's going on in the chat. I can see you guys talking about something, but I'll be honest, I can't be bothered to go all the way up and read it all through. So if someone wants to summarise, you can. If not, don't worry about it. You explained it well. Yeah, I got there the second time round. I got there the second time. Niridine, you're banned. Ahmad or Anthony? AJ said I ain't reading all that. Exactly. We're talking about Ten Hag signings. I might have to read back at some point. We need to pretend Rasmus is not 6'3" and get it to his feet more. I think he's got the potential to be a player which you go long to. He battles for balls. I think he could do that when he learns how to use his body more. I don't think he actually physically needs to improve. He needs to have more intelligence in those situations. For now, though, his strength is his feet. Use his feet. You know, like you said, almost treat him like he's not 6'3". Treat him like he's a small player who can't go and compete aerially with these centre-backs. Get the ball into his feet, bring players in around him. I think that's when he's looked the best, to be honest. I feel like that is when he has looked the best, when he's dropping deep, getting the ball into his feet, turning, and then looking to go from there. I like him the most there. We do not cross towards our strikers and midfielders. We try and pass the ball and dribble the ball into the net. Yeah, I think the big thing I would like to see, not even necessarily more crosses, is more cutbacks. Cutbacks, we're talking about getting to this area. The likes of City are the best at it. Getting to these areas and getting it low across the box. It doesn't always have to be a cross from out wide, although, again, I think we could use it more. I wouldn't say Rasmus is elite in that area anyway. But more cutbacks across the goal, that's where I think he's good. I think that's where his movement is really quite special. And not necessarily just in terms of him actually getting on the ball, sometimes him making space for someone else to arrive behind him and put the ball into the back of the net. Corey, you're banned. That's going to be my new saying. We need a you're banned emoji. Anthony or Ahmad, right wing, what we feeling? Onana, Wan-Bissaka, Kambwala, Maguire, Dalot, Bruno and Mainu, Ahmad, Mount, Garnacho, Rashford centre forward. Oh, I like it. Switching it up a little bit. I always like to see a different suggestion. I'd go with Anthony. People saying Anthony. Do we do a poll on this, or do people not care enough to do a poll? I don't really mind too much. Ahmad deserves to start at some point, right? It's kind of my thought process. Anthony and bring Ahmad later on. How about left-hand side? Rashford or Garnacho? I think I know where this one's going. I'd play both. Yeah, true. Who would you go for on the right, Corey? I'm assuming Anthony on the right. I don't know, actually. Oh, Anthony on the left. Hang on. Anthony on the left gives us a left footer on that side of the pitch. I know Ahmad is as well, but naturally Anthony looked happier the other week when he was doing that. That could work, maybe. That could work. Basically, guys, I'm asking for your winger pairing. What winger pairing would you like to see? Ahmad won't start, unfortunately. Again, if I was Ahmad and I don't get a start, or certainly a decent amount of minutes in this game, I would feel really disappointed. Like Matt said there, he's used to the rough and tumble. He's used to that kind of the bite, the feistiness of these games, playing in the Championship last season. He knows what it's like. He knows what to expect. It's not like he's a 17-year-old player coming into the starting 11. This is someone who needs to be playing football at this stage in his career. And I would feel, again, if I know it's an FA Cup semi-final. I know it's a big game. And I know Ten Hag is going to see this as absolutely must win at all costs. But if I was Ahmad, again, if I don't get 30 plus minutes in this game, I'm sitting there thinking, if this guy's still in charge at the club in the summer, I probably need to leave for the sake of my own career. And I don't want to see that with Ahmad, because I think There's real quality there. I just want to see if we can get it out of him. If we try it and it turns out he's not good enough or whatever, fair enough. You then sell him, you accept it and go, all right, hold your hands up. It didn't work out. But I would hate to think that we never really had the chance to see how good Ahmad was. Because we could sell him and he could go absolutely pop off somewhere. And that would hurt because, like I said, we've never even tried to see it really. We've never even attempted to get the best out of Ahmad in terms of the starting 11. I want to see it change. Hoyland has decent hold-up play. He needs to do it more consistently. He tends to look at the ball too much, which leads to him getting too close to his centre-back. Yeah, the way I always describe it is Hoyland struggles with the balance. He either goes too much for the ball and doesn't focus on the centre-back, or he just seems to like look at the centre-back, go fight them, and forgets about the ball. He needs to develop that balance of looking where the ball is, getting the ball under control, but also physically positioning himself to protect the ball from the centre-backs. That's what he needs to do moving forward. If I see Mount getting subbed on at the 87th minute, I'm going mad. Yeah, me too, my friend. Garnacho right, Rashford left because it's a semi-final for the experience we need. Understand that. Ahmad definitely needs more game time, scores a crucial goal and doesn't get played again for more than 8 minutes. Yeah, you can see why he would feel hard done by. At the same time, we are a difficult team to break into at the moment because we're a mess, so Ten Hag tends to go for those bigger transition threats. Rashford, Garnacho, Hoyland, Bruno, those sorts of players. To be fair, Ahmad did get a red. Yeah, that was also quite funny. Yeah, and obviously he couldn't play straight away. All United strikers struggle as Rashford and others are selfish. I wonder, and this isn't a criticism of anything you've said there, right? There's a lot of talk at United that our wingers aren't creative enough. I've said it myself. I think, ideally, for the balance of this team, I do think we need a more creative winger on the right-hand side. In terms of that creativity, I might be a mile off here, by the way. I would be interested to look at the stats. Like, who's City's starting wingers this season? Doku, Grealish on the left. Foden on the right. Although, obviously, his stats would be imbalanced because he's played in the 10 as well. Basically, I'd be interested to see, at City, how often do the wingers actually create for the striker, for Haaland? Or is it more coming from midfielders? I'd be interested to see that. Foden's also played on the left. Yeah, I'd like to see Foden's stats just from the wing, because obviously it's skewed by the fact that he played in the 10 as well. Same for Bernardo Silva. He's played right wing and midfield, so it's a little bit difficult to tell. But I would really like to go through the City wingers when they have played on the wing. How many chances do they create for Haaland? Is it that different to what we have or not? I don't know. Obviously, they're different styles of players playing for different teams. But a lot of the focus always comes onto the fact that our wingers don't create for our forward. Well, how about our midfielders create some chances as well? Obviously, I know Bruno does to an extent, although I don't think he's had his best creative season. But in general, I'd just be interested to look at that. Like I said, I might be a mile off. The City wingers might create way more than ours do. I'd just be interested to look at it. Ahmad is very similar to Rodrigo at Madrid. Technical forwards who excel on the ball. Yeah, he doesn't want to spend his whole time running into space and behind the defence. He wants to come towards the ball, get it at his feet, show his footwork and things like that. His close ball manipulation, take people on. That's what he wants to do. And also link play. That's what I like about him. That's what I like about him. Haaland is set up constantly by both midfielders, wingers and the fullbacks. It's a regular flow for him, so he at least has chances to finish. Yeah, I'm not denying that Haaland gets chances, by the way. He gets a ridiculous amount. I'm saying I would be interested to see the split of where does it actually come from. Because again, our wingers are always blamed for a lack of creativity. Do the other teams rely on their wingers for creativity or not? There. From right wing, Foden has 5 assists. From attacking mid, he has 11. Now, I don't know how many games he's played in both those two positions. But is he more creative? You know, the more creative role in the middle than out wide? Not too sure. Might need to look into it. Not too sure. Is there anything else we've got to talk about, by the way? I know this is a bit of a short stream. I don't know how much we have to discuss regarding this game because we're not exactly going to sit here and claim to be Coventry experts. And again, we are quite limited on what we can talk about with United with a lack of players. Our wingers all think they had a star. Ten Hag is at fault and needs to sell them to create. Bernardo is in the 95th percentile for midfielders for shot creating actions, and the 68th from the wing. The problem is when I assume you've gone through FB Ref there. The problem is if you put compared to wingers, that doesn't just calculate his wing games, it still calculates his midfield games and just compares it against wingers. So again, it's difficult to see. I'll have a look into it because I would be interested to know. The same with Arsenal. Does Martinelli, or do Martinelli and Trossard and Saka cross a lot for the striker and create a lot for the striker? Or again, does it come from the midfield supply? I wonder. Because at City, I would label Foden as their most creative player. He's a midfielder. Foden is their most creative player. His most creative days this season have been in the middle of the pitch. Be interesting to look at. Arsenal do a lot. What specifically, winger to forward, to striker? I think a lack of left back is hurting us in the final third. I think we tried to overload one side, switch to the underloaded side, where we should have a winger plus a fullback to create numerical superiority. I completely agree. And then when it's Wan-Bissaka or it's Lindelof at times this season or whoever it's been, it just doesn't work as well. That underload, overload approach, it doesn't work when Wan-Bissaka's the one doing it. City used the midfielders running into the half-space channels to get the ball across the box. Yeah, I agree. Obviously, that's because their wingers are a different profile. They have more retention-based wingers. Their wingers almost are safer, more secure, wait for those arrivals, then slip the ball in, then they play the cutback. Again, De Bruyne, Foden, etc. Could our wingers do that? I'm not too sure. I think someone like Ahmad or Anthony could. I don't know that Rashford and Garnacho would want to as much. From FBRF, Saka is in the 87th percentile and he's only in one position, of course. Yeah, so for him, it obviously is a case that he is quite creative then for the striker. Interesting to look into, though. And I might do some more at some point. Slightly off topic, but I'm so annoyed about the FA Cup replays being scrapped. Yeah, I understand why they've done it, right? It reduces fixtures. We've all been crying out for that to protect the players. We need less games. This isn't the competition we want to see hit, though, right? We didn't want to see this competition hit. For the lower league teams. I'm not talking about Championship and not even League One, really, but Leagues 2 and the steps below that. They need the income of the FA Cup. Obviously, hopefully, they're going to get boosted funding-wise anyway. But I think fans love cup replays, going to different stadiums and stuff like that. So it is disappointing to lose it. Surely they could have scrapped it after the third round, for example. That would at least done something. I don't know, though. That's why Sancho and Højlund is something I'd love to see. Yeah, exactly. At least it would be an interesting one into that conversation as well. Exeter City wouldn't be a team without FA Cup replays. The game versus United saved them. Exactly. Those teams need it. And like I said, even teams below that as well, going down into the National League, they all compete and they need that money. What about Mount? He's been out for most parts of the season with injury, but Ten Hag gave him the 7 jersey. Means he was key. Maybe why it couldn't click this season. I would love to know, and I would love to have the conversation with Ten Hag about what his plan was for Mason Mount. Was it a case of we bought Mount in because it was opportunistic? You know, we saw a player going. It's only so often you get a player as good as Mason Mount available from a rival. It doesn't happen that often. Did we see a time to strike? Or was it actually Ten Hag, thought, or the club thought, that's the exact profile we needed, and that's why we went after him? And if that is the case, what was it which Ten Hag had planned for him? What was the idea there? He said it was opportunistic. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I don't know, it's a weird one. Because were we in a position last summer to be dealing in that sort of way? I'm not so sure we were. Rashford's in the 50th percentile, Garnacho 53rd. See, it hurts. That is low. That is painfully low. Obviously, you've got to look at, for example, possession of the two sides and things like that. But it is low. Did I voice crack there? Or does my voice just literally not happen? I don't know what happened there. I think Mount was meant to be Kobbie Mainoo. That's what I've wondered all season long. All season long. I think the idea was to play 2 advanced 8s or 10s like Liverpool and go full out with people. Again, I think Dalot inverting as the season's gone on kind of points to that as well, because it does allow you to create this dynamic. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not too sure. We may never know as well. Let's say Ten Hag leaves in the summer. We may not ever know the plan. Pardon me, I do apologise. I think the Mount and Mainoo was supposed to be the rotation. I could definitely see that. Which would point towards next season. It would leave us, let's say we've got Cobby and Mount are our 2 8s as such. We've got Bruno, and then either McTominay or Dewsbury Hall as his backup. Then go sign 2 6s. That would be my opinion in that situation, if that's how we see the club. If that's how we see the dynamic of our midfield, go get 2 6s, and either keep McTominay as a backup 10, or, like I said, sign Dewsbury Hall because he's a bit younger or whatever, something like that. I like it. I like it. So, who knows? Who knows? We just like the players with technique to play through the midfield. Yeah, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I believe the centre-backs lack that quality at times, the midfielders, the forwards, all of them. Yeah, to confirm, this doesn't have to be a pure 6, but naturally, I would like 2 more defensive-minded midfielders. It doesn't have to be a proper 6 as such. 2 ball-winning, ground-covering 6s is... not. Stop using the term 6. 2 ground-covering ball winners is what I'd like to see in midfield. We also lack those who can excel out wide. We lack ballers. Yeah, you watch pretty much every team, and they're just so much crisper than us. Just everything they do, technically. Like Rashford, as much as I love him, right, and I think on his day he's unbelievable, there's so many days where it's not his day, and he looks really... still really, like, raw on the ball. Garnacho, he's as exciting as he is at times, he's not like a silky, tight space, dribbling winger, you know. He doesn't excel technically. Again, he's a little bit raw with his first touch, with his close control. We saw it for the goal last week. We do have that problem. We do have that problem. Was Schürrle ground covering, though? I'm actually too sure, to be honest. Not like some of the names we've been linked to. Obviously, different leagues, though, so maybe it's changed. Bruno can't carry the ball. He's a progressive passer. I wouldn't say he can't carry the ball. I would say he doesn't excel there. I thought last week, though, last weekend, Bruno done a much better job. A much better job. I thought what Bruno done was he just took an extra touch to slow himself down before then playing a pass. And I thought he looked like twice the player, which he has in recent weeks. So I enjoyed that. I think Mainu and Mount has more ground coverage. I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. Again, you do have to consider the league. But yeah, I do agree with that. It's because Garnacho and Rashford aren't technically secure, so could not impact without scoring. Yeah, I mean, it's quite a blanket statement, but I get what you're saying. Do you think Dewsbury Hall could play with Mainu behind Bruno? I can't actually see what the formation you said is because there's a thing in the way. In a 3... I can't see the last bit. Is that 3-4-1-2 or something? Yeah, I think it could work in that. Talking Champions League here? Yeah, maybe so. Again, I do think tactically the game has changed quite a lot, even in just, what, like a 5-year span. Pochettino is quite a good example of that, how he's been left behind a little bit. Yeah, I do agree, though. I do think Mount and Cobby do probably cover ground better than what those two did. But they had to cover less ground at Ajax is the important thing because they had so much more of the ball because technically they were a lot better. So again, it's a weird one. There's more to it. I think there's a lot of things to look at there. You want Mainu / Mount next to Bruno? Yeah, that's what I've said for this weekend. The issue with Bruno up top is that there is no one behind him with the same quality or better. One player to be with him and Mainu, and is absolutely a monster miles better, is De Zerbi. Sorry, I just punched my mic. I do apologise. Did we have a De Zerbi talk? Not today. Not today. I think De Zerbi can do a job in midfield there. Hello AJ, how are you doing? Not bad, my friend. I hope you are well as well, having a good week, ready for the weekend. Yeah, I'm good. A fully fit Mason Mount will be very good for us. I think so in the long term. Should I stick with Højlund? Or should I become Højlund? Nah. French Prince, I reckon. French Prince. We have never once had a De Zerbi talk. Well, if you want to talk about De Zerbi, let me tell you guys about channel. No, okay, moving on. Maybe wait until we know Ten Hag's future before we talk about other managers. Yeah, that is my approach. I considered it, I think it was it at the start of the week or was it last weekend? I was talking on Discord about, is it now time to maybe talk about a different manager? But I've chosen not to. I'm sticking to my guns of not doing it for now. It might change at some point, but for now I'm not going to. We'll see. We'll see. We will see. Aside from this game, should we start defending in a back five out of possession? See, obviously, it's easy to sit here and say a back five would improve us defensively because, you know, one, there's an extra man there, or it reduces the defensive work rate of one of our forward players or something like that. If Ten Hag can't coach a good back five, which we don't know at the moment, it doesn't matter what the formation is if it's not well set up, if you know what I mean. It could be 7 at the back and it still may not be good defensively if we don't know how well the players can execute, but also Ten Hag. So it's a little bit difficult to say, to be honest. A little bit difficult to say. Should we change to a midfield 3 instead of using a 10? To be honest, I was about to say, I think it's kind of varied anyway this season. I think at times it has been a midfield 3, like literally a 4-3-3. At times it has been a 4-2-3-1. I couldn't really tell you exactly what the formation is. I think it changes quite a lot. So it's difficult to say. I love the space you've left there in midfield. Yeah, this is actually a live shot from a United game, even with the extra players on the pitch. We should switch to a box midfield. I think we do it at times. We just don't do it consistently enough. And because we play forward so quickly, you don't actually get the effect of it. Because we do see Dallo inverting. Granted, it's often next to Casemiro, which isn't ideal, but we do see that sometimes. And this box does therefore like naturally get created. We just don't do it enough, I think. Mainu/Mount next to Bruno with Eriksen/McTominay at 10 in a 4-2-3-1. So what, Mainu/Mount with Bruno in a double pivot. Eriksen and McTominay at 10, or Eriksen or McTominay. Ten Hag used to play a 4-4-2 diamond and 3 at the back formations. Yeah, I would love to go back and watch some of those games. I don't know if I can get access to them. I might have a look into it at some point, but yeah, I would like to do that. See you later, Mark. Thank you very much for joining. It's been good to have you in the chat, my friend. Have a good weekend, mate. Have a nice. Adding an extra defensive player won't improve us defensively. It's all about the system. Yeah, obviously, it could work. And on paper, it does because you've got more defenders, so you should defend better. But again, we just don't know how well it's going to work. Who would be the ideal left-back we should sign this summer? Great question. Probably the one position where I really don't know the answer at the moment because I can't figure out what formation we want to play next year. Why do we want a left-back? We've got Luke Shaw, we've got Malacia. Is it a case of we don't feel we can rely on Luke Shaw? Or is it that we don't think Malacia is going to return? If so, it kind of makes sense. If we think they're both going to return, why do you need a third left-back? Is Shaw being moved to a centre-back? Are we switching to a back 3 formation? So perhaps Shaw becomes left centre-back, then we need 2 left wing-backs. I don't know. So I find it really difficult to say what left-back we should go for, even what type of profile we should go for or anything like that. I find it really difficult because I just don't know what Ten Hag's cooking, to be honest. I don't know. Who do you like more, Kirkage or Miguel Gutierrez? Kirkage for me. Gutierrez is a good player. I don't think he suits us as a fullback. As a wing-back, maybe a bit more. But he's not that heavily involved in the build-up, and I think Ten Hag puts quite an emphasis on his fullbacks being involved in build-up. So I'm not massively keen on him. When he does drop in deeper, he is actually, at times, quite press-resistant and actually quite good out of the press. But most of the time in build-up, Gutierrez will find himself up here. In the first phase, even, he finds himself up here, which is odd. Martinez at left-back when he's fit. I think I'm going to do a video on that next week. It was going to be this week, but then I done Dewsbury Hall instead. So, yeah, I think I will do a video on that next week. Licha moving. The problem is it doesn't seem that realistic because, again, why would we be signing a left-back on top of the 2 we've already got and then move Licha as well? So, I don't know. Would you prefer Shaw as a left centre-back or left wing-back? Probably left centre-back, to be honest, these days, to protect himself. Protect his body. Davis, good player. I like the look of him. Do you think Alvaro Fernandez could be an excellent left-back for us? I think he's a good player. I like his profile a lot. My question has always been, and it was last summer as well, just ceiling. Profile, nice. He does a lot of nice stuff. But actually, just when it comes down to it, how good is he at football? I'm not too sure. He hasn't... ever quite done enough to really prove it to me, but you could also argue he hasn't been given the opportunity. I think he's a good player, though. I'm not sure he's United level. Well, what's United level, eh? But no, I think he's a good player. I'm not sure he's quite Champions League level. I might be wrong, though. I might be wrong. I feel like recruitment talk is a bit redundant when we don't know who the next manager will be. In the past, I would have agreed. I think these days with Ineos leading the recruitment side of things a little bit more, I think it will be different. Obviously, it makes it more difficult not knowing the manager because more than anything, we don't know the system. But I get your point. I think it's a little bit different these days. Nuruddin, see you later, mate. Thank you very much for the donation and the gifted memberships as well. I'll probably talk to you at some point in the next few days. Have a good one. Have a good weekend. If I don't see you, I'll see you at some point, basically. The stream in general. Feels like a good time to wrap up. David, I like this question a lot and I don't know the answer. Unrealistic, but what would happen with Dalot if we bring in Frimpong? I do not understand the Frimpong link. He's not a fullback. He's a wing-back, borderline a winger. I don't understand the link. I don't understand it. He's not a like-for-like for Dalot, and in my opinion, in your defence, left-back, starting and backup should be the same profile. Right-back, starting and backup should be the same profile or similar, and the same for your centre-backs as well. In the attack, you can be a bit more free-flowing with it. You can have different options from the bench, but in deep areas, I like the idea of like-for-like players. Frimpong is not like-for-like with anything we have at the club, so I don't really understand it. So I agree with you. But what happens to Dalot in that situation? I don't know. I don't know. Would Dalot become the backup? You know, would we switch to a system where the right back always overlaps? Perhaps like this, which could make sense. You know, we've been linked with Elise, someone who likes to come in these areas. It could kind of work. Frimpong is your starting choice right wing back, and then Dalot's his backup. Maybe it could work. Dalot wide centre back in a back three. I wouldn't mind it. Obviously, it'd kind of be weird then with what we do centre back wise in the summer, but I wouldn't be against it. Does it get his full skill set though? I don't know. Anyway, I think we're going to wrap up there. Because in terms of talking about this game against this Coventry side in this FA Cup semi-final, I don't think we've got too much more to talk about. Dalot may not want to be back up. Yeah, that's what I mean. I find it really confusing. I can't quite get my head around that one. Anyway, I think we're finished there. So, thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you to everyone who has... Chad, mate. Everyone attack Chad real quick. I probably shouldn't encourage that. Actually, yeah, score predictions. We need some score predictions before we leave. If anyone's still here, you might have all already left. Leave some score predictions real quick if you are still here. If you're not, see you later. Score predictions. I'm going to go 3-0. 3-0. Boom. Goals from Hoyland. Bruno and whoever starts right wing. Whether it's Garnacho, Ahmad or Anthony, they will score. That's my belief. 3-1, 4-2, 3-0, 4-2, 2-0, 4-1, 3-1. I like it, guys. I like it. I like it a lot. Anyway, that is it for today's stream. If you want to keep chatting about anything, hop in the Discord. It is linked at the top of the chat. It's free to join. Get involved. Talk about pro clubs. I mean, football. David, thank you very much for that last minute donation quickly before we leave. That is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much, my friend. And he's saying 3-0. What a guy. 3-0 is also my prediction. Thank you very much for the donation, for the gifted membership earlier as well. And the same to Nuruddin. Have we had anyone else gift? If so, I do apologise if I've missed you. If you gifted in general, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who's liked the stream, watched the stream, been involved in the chat. Thanks to everyone, basically. But we are finished for today. So thank you guys for watching. I'm going to go work on a video. And I will catch you guys in the next one later. Bye.